Hello and welcome. Tonight, President of the Senate raises alarm over the persistent economic sabotage which has undermined investor confidence in the petroleum sector. Senator Godswill Akpabio declares that the Senate must identify and hold those accountable for the criminal acts. Deputy Speaker of the House of Representatives, Benjamin Kalu, asked the Nigerian Midstream and Downstream Petroleum Regulatory Authority and the Standards Organization of Nigeria to guarantee that the premium motor spirit imported into the country is rigorously tested in laboratories to meet the standard sulfur and octane levels. And the Arewa Consultative Forum rubbed minds with Kaduna State Governor Uba Sani on burning issues affecting Nigeria's northern region, including insecurity, poverty, and out-of-school children. Governor Sani appeals to leaders and organizations from the region to collectively find homegrown solutions to the problems.
On business news, Central Bank of Nigeria's Monetary Policy Committee begins two-day meeting to decide interest rates amid skyrocketing inflation.
On sports, IOC President Thomas Bach inaugurates the Paris 2024 Olympic Truce Wall, a symbol of the Games' commitment to inspire peace through sports.
And from the nation's capital, the Court of Appeal sitting in Lagos upholds the conviction of a Dane national, Peter Nielsen, who was sentenced to death in 2022 for killing his Nigerian wife, Zainab, and their daughter, Petra.
And in international news from London, many leading Democrats are following Joe Biden's lead by backing Vice President Kamala Harris as the party's new presidential nominee.
We begin from the National Assembly. The President of the Senate, Senator Godswill Akpabio, has raised an alarm over the persistent economic sabotage which has undermined investor confidence in the petroleum sector, declaring that the Senate must identify and hold those accountable for the criminal acts. Senator Akpabio made the declaration during the inauguration of the Senate Ad Hoc Committee to investigate alleged sabotage in the sector. At the inauguration, the Senate President stated that it is not merely an investigation, but a rescue mission for the nation's future. Our National Assembly correspondent, Gloria Umezoke, reports.
The petroleum sector, which has faced oil theft and sabotage over the years, is at the heart of concerns here as lawmakers converge at the National Assembly, led by the President of the Senate, Senator Godswill Akpabio. The upper chamber is launching a probe into the disturbing trend of alleged malpractice and sabotage in the sector.
The shadow of economic sabotage looms large, threatening to destabilize this critical industry, and by extension, our nation's financial stability. These acts of sabotage could cripple our economy and hinder our progress for generations to come. It did not start in the administration of President Asiwaju Bola Ahmed Tinubu, but it has led us to where we are today.
Inaugurating the ad hoc committee, the Senate President reels out charges and the Riot Act.
Identify the perpetrators where you can, their methods and modus operandi, their networks, and then report same to the Nigerian Senate for further legislative actions.
Elsewhere, a crucial stakeholders meeting between the Joint Committee on Finance and the Executive is convened on the 2024 Finance Amendment Bill.
Our discussion today will cover the detailed provisions of the bill, including the Federal Inland Revenue Service's role in assessing, collecting, and enforcing the levy.
Lawmakers sought answers to some of the raging concerns about the executive bill expected to address the nation's infrastructure deficit.
Area of worry is with respect to the penalty. We need to be very explicit on the issue of penalty.
The finance minister explains that the monies to be taken from the banks should not be considered as tax, but levies to reshuffle wealth.
It is a levy on the 2024 realized gains from foreign exchange within the banking system. It's going to be a share of the amount that was realized whether we end up with 50-50, 60-40, we are here in an interactive session which in a democratic setting is an important part of coming out with a final figure.
All manufacturing entities in Nigeria, they declare total of 1.7 trillion losses just as a result of Forex. And anywhere in the world, you as a government, your duty is to redistribute the wealth in order to sustain the progress and prosperity of a nation.
Although all parties were invited, the CBN and bank representatives were conspicuously absent from the crucial meeting. They asked to appear before the committee on Tuesday, July 22, 2024. From the National Assembly, Gloria Umezuke, Channels Television News.
In the lower legislative chamber, the Deputy Speaker of the House of Representatives, Honorable Benjamin Kalu, is asking the Nigerian Midstream and Downstream Petroleum Regulatory Authority and the Standards Organization of Nigeria to guarantee that the premium motor spirit imported into the country is rigorously tested in laboratories to meet the standard sulfur and octane levels. The Deputy Speaker stated this in his opening address at the inaugural meeting of the House of Representatives Joint Midstream and Downstream Committee, investigating challenging developments in the downstream and midstream sector. Our National Assembly correspondent Terry Kumi reports.
The House of Representatives Committee on Appropriations met with the Minister of Budget for a breakdown of the proposed amendments to the 2024 Appropriation Act. President Bola Tinubu last week had written to Parliament seeking to include 6.2 trillion naira in the 2024 budget.
I wanted to shed more light in respect of the presidential request of 6.2 trillion, and so that Nigerians can understand more about this important exercise we are doing.
The budgetary infrastructure funding from our revenue is not enough to meet our infrastructure aspirations. And yet, we know that there are financing mechanisms. Some of them have even been tried in our country. Therefore, how do we begin to develop projects so that they can attract private sector or partner funding?
The proposed amendment involves 3.2 trillion naira as capital expenditure increase and 3 trillion naira as recurrent expenditure.
This is intended to also meet the needs of, among others, the funds that will be required to meet commitment under the new proposed minimum wage.
We can study the budget and see present our reports to the floor of the House, and then the House will decide whether it will be approved or they have another thought of it.
Meanwhile, the Deputy Speaker of the House of Representatives has inaugurated the Joint Midstream and Downstream Committee to investigate the challenging development in the downstream and midstream sector.
The unavailability of crude oil feedstock for our downstream domestic refineries are of particular concern. The Nigerian Midstream Downstream Petroleum Regulatory Authority, NMDPRA, and the Standard Organizations of Nigeria, SON, must guarantee that all petrol imported into the country is rigorously tested in laboratories to meet the standard sulfur and octane levels.
With the current challenges rocking the sector, the House is optimistic that the investigations will yield outcomes that will ensure that Nigeria's energy sector operates at the highest standards of quality, efficiency, and environmental sustainability. Terry Ikumi, Channels Television News.
Meanwhile, the Minister of State for Petroleum Resources, Oil, Senator Heineken Lokpobiri, has held a meeting with leaders from Dangote, the NNDPRA, the NUPRC, and the NNPCL to resolve issues surrounding the Dangote refinery. The meeting was attended by Mr. Aliko Dangote, Chairman and CEO of the Dangote Group, Mr. Farouk Ahmed, Authority Chief Executive of the Nigerian Midstream and Downstream Petroleum Regulatory Authority, the NMDPRA, Mr. Gbenga Komalafe, Chief Executive Officer of the Nigerian Upstream Petroleum Regulatory Commission, and Mr. Mele Kyari, the Group Chief Executive Officer of the Nigerian National Petroleum Company Limited, NNPCL. Our discussions focused on finding sustainable solutions to the refinery's challenges, with all parties committed to proactive problem solving. During the meeting, the minister also emphasized the importance of cooperation to ensure the oil and gas sector's success for Nigeria's economic growth and energy security. At the end of this first meeting, all the participants described the meeting as a good one, but then declined to comment further on the resolutions. Governor Uba Sani of Kaduna State has raised concerns over the high rate of out-of-school children, poverty and insecurity in the north, which he blames on long years of neglect by past administrations and leaders of the region. The governor raised the concerns during a meeting with the National Executive Committee of the Arewa Consultative Forum at the Government House, Kaduna. It disclosed that the north is facing an existential threat as a result of insecurity and other socio-economic challenges, and stresses the need for all leaders from the region to come together to pull it back rather than indulging in blame games.
Members of the National Executive Committee of the Arewa Consultative Forum are at the Sir Kashim Ibrahim Government House, Kaduna, to rub minds with Governor Uba Sani on several issues affecting Nigeria's northern region, including insecurity, poverty, and out-of-school children.
We have long sought for such an opportunity to express our profound appreciation.
While commending Governor Sani for his innovative rural transformation drive and social reconciliation approach to governance, the forum is concerned about the issues that continue to plague the region.
Our rural areas stand in great need of attention and transformation, given the growing scourge of multidimensional poverty and violent crimes ravaging the north. Dedicated and well-funded oral development programs such as yours have the potential to greatly mitigate the endemic insecurity and banditry going on across the country.
Describing the socio-economic challenges as an existential threat to the north, Governor Sani underscores the need for all leaders and organizations from the region to collectively find homegrown solutions to the problems.
Northern Nigeria faces existential threats as we are speaking. This is therefore a time for all hands to be on deck to pull the region back from the brink. It is a time when our people must close ranks, fashion a Marshall Plan for the North, and move decisively to change these negative developmental indices.
Governor Sani also speaks on narratives that President Bola Tinubu is against the North.
I can speak because I'm one of the governors, and I know how much support we have received from current government. The narrative that President Tinubu is against the North is false, absurd, and unbecoming. It is the handwork of elements who are experts at political manipulation.
The governor charges the forum to advance the interests of the region as the leaders commend him for approving the certificate of occupancy for the national headquarters of the forum after years of struggling for the approval.
In part two, after the break, the Martin Amewule-led River State House of Assembly kicks at the continued stay in office of the Caretaker Committee chairman despite a Supreme Court judgment declaring them illegal, as the lawmakers want them arrested. Please stay with us. Welcome back. If you've just joined us, you're watching the news at 10 live on Channels Television Lagos. A reminder of our top stories. The President of the Senate raises alarm over the persistent economic sabotage which has undermined investor confidence in the petroleum sector. Senator Godswill Akpabio declares that the Senate must identify and hold those accountable for the criminal acts. Deputy Speaker of the House of Representatives Benjamin Kalu asked the Nigerian Midstream and Downstream Petroleum Regulatory Authority and the Standards Organization of Nigeria to guarantee that the premium motor spirit imported into the country is rigorously tested in laboratories to meet the standard sulfur and octane levels. The Arewa Consultative Forum rubbed minds with Kaduna State Governor Uba Sani on burning issues affecting Nigeria's northern region, including insecurity, poverty, and out-of-school children. Governor Sani appeals to leaders and organizations from the region to collectively find homegrown solutions to the problems. And the Court of Appeal sitting in Lagos upholds the conviction of a Dane national, Peter Nielsen, who was sentenced to death in 2022 for killing his Nigerian wife Zainab and their daughter Petra. Nobel laureate Professor Wole Soyinka has described the kidnap of 276 schoolgirls in Borno State in the year 2014 as one of the defining moments in the nation's history. He was speaking in Abuja, the Ogun State capital, during a civic reception organized in his honor, marking his 90th birthday celebration by a committee of friends. He took a swipe at the leadership, the negligence and response of the federal government at the time, saying that the incident was a systemic failure of the nation's humanity.
Most of the crimes committed, in the most gory manner in this nation right now are committed by us, the citizens, against ourselves. Whether you're talking about killing for fetishes reasons, whether you're talking about the crimes of religious fundamentalism, you're talking about banditry, kidnapping, or ransom. In other words, reinstating this horrendous past of our history, which is slavery. I see no difference between slavery by other people and kidnapping, whether adults or children or ourselves. For me, this is enslavement. The only difference is that we now gather all of you together like this under compulsory education, making it easy for a bunch of people to come. And we know that these crimes are not simply because of poverty, impoverishment. No, some of those behind these crimes are very, very wealthy. Look at those who've been caught and taken to court, tried in court. They live in huge mansions, but they want more. So it's not even a question of, inequality in society, neglect. No. Very often, we are our own worst enemies. And I felt it was about time that our own society is confronted by a true image of itself. It had been building up for years, while I was doing other things. But luckily, I was able to save some time and say, let me show us just what we have become and stop deceiving ourselves that the enemy is outside. The real enemy very often is within.
Well, it may seem some groups are preparing for the planned nationwide protest against bad governance. Other groups are beginning to pull out of the event. Now, the planned protest, which has gone viral on social media, has generated some conversation in the government circle, with some appealing to citizens to give the incumbent government more time to allow its policies come to fruition. However, speaking at separate news conferences in Abuja, members of the Northern Nigeria Youth Forum and the Miyetti Allah Kautahore Socio-Cultural Association have dissociated themselves from the planned protest.
For several weeks now, reports about a planned protest against bad governance have dominated conversations, especially on the social media space. This also forms the crux of the news conference by members of the Miyetti Allah Kautahore Socio-Cultural Association, announces its dissociation from the planned nationwide protest.
We even view the protest as an attempt to sabotage the takeoff of the ministry. So definitely, not only our youths, our ardos, every conscious pastoralist will not join any protest now.
In a related development, members of the Northern Nigeria Youth Forum also announced their withdrawal from the protest.
The situation we are in Nigeria is artificial, even though the economic hardship is a global matter. All over the world are facing it. But by the grace of God, we are still standing on, calling on government, but not this protest that these people want to organize. Because why we say these people were out of them, and we are calling on our sons and daughters of Northern Nigeria to withdraw.
To come up with a position that is going to be the best for the nation.
However, the Forum of Former Leaders of the National Association of Nigerian Students appears uncertain about its position.
We have resolved not to participate in any protest, and we have resolved to also give government time. No, not resolve. Our position, we cannot at no time stop any anybody because when we were students, we protested. So during that time, on that situation, we had not taken a decision to make sure that we are consulting other sister organizations to come out with a position. At no time have we in any way accepted that we are not going to protest. There's nothing of such discussed.
Yet some of their members are optimistic about the policies of the government.
The student loans program is laudable, and we applaud President Bola Ahmed Tinubu for the policy. We believe that the policy will reduce dropout rates and in a long time increase our innovative and productive workforce.
Although there is no clear indication of those behind the protests, there have been numerous calls across the country for patience and dialogue instead of protests.
Meanwhile, the Nigeria Labour Congress is asking President Bola Tinubu to invite the leadership of the planned protest movement for discussions on their grievances. A statement signed by the NLC president, Mr. Joe Ajero, notes that Nigerians have reasons to be angry, especially with the country's economic situation. According to him, all that the citizens are demanding from the government is a listening ear and an empathetic heart to their plight. The statement highlights rising inflation, unemployment, increase in electricity tariff, and the general spike in the cost of living as the reasons people are angry. The statement concludes with an appeal to the government to tread the path of dialogue rather than force. The back and forth between the Martin Amewole-led Rivers State House of Assembly and Governor Siminalayi Fubara keeps popping up, which appears to have no end in sight. Now, the latest is the issue of the continued stay in office of the Caretaker Committee chairman, with the Assembly members denouncing them and asking the police to arrest them for impersonation. This happened at plenary today, during which the governor was accused of inciting anarchy by refusing to obey the Supreme Court judgment.
It's plenary day at the Martin Amewole-led Rivers State House of Assembly, and the leader informs the House of the Supreme Court judgment outlawing Caretaker Committee chairman.
This judgment totally abolished the so-called Caretaker Committee, interim member whatsoever name that was given.
The chairman of the House Committee on Local Government informs of the continued stay in office of the CTC chairman in spite of the Supreme Court judgment.
It's on 11th of July 2024, the Apex Court, the Supreme Court, gave a judgment that only elected local government officials shall run the affairs of local government, which Rivers State is among the local government, the states involved.
During the deliberations, a lawmaker demands the media stop recognizing them, while another accuses the governor of anarchy.
I'm calling on the security agencies to the police to go after these people, to ask them to stop them from parading themselves as illegal Caretaker Committee members.
The governor is inviting anarchy. The Supreme Court says there should be no Caretaker Committee. And Mr. Governor is still keeping those Caretaker Committee chairmen.
The Speaker calls on the security agencies to arrest them if they continue to act, while also mandating a letter be written to the public on the matter.
We should call on the Nigeria police to commence the immediate arrest of these impostors across the 23 local government areas of our dear states. This House is insisting that only elected people, only elected individuals are permitted to run or manage the affairs of the 23 local government councils in Rivers State.
There is a vote and resolution taken.
We want to mandate the House Committee Chairman on Information, the Honorable NME Alabo George, to ensure that this resolution gets to Rivers people by way of a public notice immediately.
In spite of the Supreme Court judgment, it's still unclear why the CTC chairman continued to act, but the resolution from today's plenary will be interesting to see. Charles Oporum, Channels Television News.
Staying with Rivers, more rural communities in the state are mobilizing support for Governor Siminalayi Fubara following his commitment to develop remote communities and provide quality governance for residents despite the political tension. The latest support is coming from the people of Ogbakiri in Emowa local government area, who held a rally to appreciate Governor Fubara for awarding the contract to reconstruct their long-neglected road.
This road serves as the only access to Ogbakiri, a cluster of 6 communities in Emowa local government area of Rivers State. For years, the residents have hoped for the reconstruction of the road that links their communities to the East-West Road, originally built in 1984. Their hopes have finally been realized with Governor Similaye Fubara's recent award of a contract for its reconstruction. Although the contractor is yet to begin work, the announcement of the approval led to this celebratory rally by the residents to show their gratitude.
This road is so important to our economic life. This road is so important to the people of Ogbakiri because it is the only access, the only vehicular access into Ogbakiri is this particular road.
Amidst their gratitude are further requests. Notable among the demands is the construction of a direct link between Ogbakiri and Port Harcourt, the state capital, which they believe will enhance security and significantly boost the socio-economic prospects of their communities.
When the state had economic summit at Obiwale International Conference Center, the governor did say that that's in response to a question concerning the bridge that's supposed to cross from Rumolumeni to Ogbakiri. The governor did say that that project is not out of place, but that for costs, for the reasons of costs, that for now it has been kept on the hold. But one thing we know, we're also appreciating the governor, knowing that that statement simply means that before he will leave office, that he will do that bridge, crossing from Rumolumeni to Ogbakiri. So the Ogbakiri people are grateful.
Amongst those rallying is a prominent politician who takes the opportunity to criticize the governor's opponents while declaring support of his community for the Fubara administration.
For those who are fomenting issues, let them leave the governor to govern us. If the resources of Rivers State is what is at stake, they had ruled. Let this one rule. We shall complain if he doesn't do well. We shall praise him if he does very well. So far, he has started very well, and we are watching that he continues with this trend.
This rally underscores the determination of the Ogbakiri people of Rivers State to stand by Governor Similaye Fubara as he navigates the political crisis in the state with the hope for more infrastructure development.
Still ahead on the news at 10, the Central Bank of Nigeria Monetary Policy Committee begins a 2-day meeting to decide interest rates amidst skyrocketing inflation. That's on Business News. Please join us again. Welcome back. Let's now head to the nation's capital, and Terry Kumi is standing by to give us the very latest from our Abuja studio. Over to you, Terry.
Well, thank you very much, Ayo. Let's go to the Court of Appeal now. Well, the appeal court sitting in Lagos has upheld the conviction of a Dane national, Peter Nielsen, who was sentenced to death in 2022 for killing his Nigerian wife, Zainab, and their daughter, Petra. The appellate court dismissed the appeal filed by Nielsen for lacking in merit. Delivering the judgment, the appeal court held that the respondent, the Lagos state government, proved the offense of murder against the appellant, Nielsen, beyond reasonable doubt. It also resolved the appeal in favor of the respondent and dismissed the appellant's case. The Lagos state government had arraigned the 53-year-old defendant on June 13, 2018, on a 2-count charge of murder, punishable under Section 223 of the Criminal Laws of Lagos 2015, which prescribes the death penalty if convicted. He had pleaded not guilty to the charges. Mr. Nielsen was said to have killed his wife, Zainab, a musician who was also known as Alizi, and his daughter on April 5, 2018, at about 3:45 a.m. at their Banana Island residence in the Kogi area of Lagos State. Tackling security, the FCT Police Command has arrested the alleged mastermind in the murder of retired General Uwemu Dokwiri, Mr. Hashiru Baku, and 14 other suspects in Abuja. The police commissioner, Mr. Benneth Igwe, who paraded the suspects in Abuja, says the alleged mastermind was arrested in Kano while trying to escape the country. Our correspondent Victoria Longjohn reports.
These are some of the items recovered from the latest suspects arrested by the FCT Police Command. 3 pistols, 2 locally fabricated guns, gold jewelry, bottles of codeine, and stolen vehicles are amongst the items. Amongst the suspects is the alleged mastermind of the murder of retired General Uwem Udokwere in June this year. 14 other suspects were paraded for various offences.
During the Kujeje break, he escaped. And instead of him to repent, he continued with more audacity. We arrested him in Kano when he was trying to exit the country. We have recovered the general's gun that was with him. That is the general's gun. We have recovered the wristwatch of the generals and the wife's jewelries, which they all robbed from the general's house. This group of armed robbers and kidnappers has been terrorizing Abuja and its environs. Eventually, they have come to FCT to rob. This red vehicle is their operational vehicle. So as they organize to rob, we didn't know we have the intelligence. So we barricaded them where they are to rob. And we recovered these 2 pistols and the whole of this ammunition. And the other one, these 2 pistols, English-made pistols, with these ammunitions from them. This is their operational vehicle.
However, the suspect denies any involvement in the murder of the army general.
Me, I know killed the general. I don't know why this general house. No. Even the Anaku she come, he no go green. Who? You there for custody or Tauko division?
The FCT police commissioner also speaks on the planned nationwide protest, advising residents not to take laws into their hands.
I plead, I beg of you, do not join this protest. Let us continue collectively to make FCT safe.
The FCT police is warning that the nation's capital will not be a breeding ground for criminals, assuring residents that efforts are in place to ensure the protection of lives and property. From Abuja, Victoria Longjohn for Channels Television News.
Well, still on security in Ondo State, the police say the victims of the Friday abduction in Ifon, Ose local government area, have been found and rescued. They were traveling from the southeast at about 11 p.m. when they fell into the hands of gunmen who killed 1 commuter. The driver abducted 5 others, 2 of whom managed to escape with injuries. A statement by the spokesperson of the Ondo State Police Command, SP Fumilayo Odulamio Milano, says the assailants abandoned the victims in the forest. She notes that policemen from the tactical squad led by the area commander of Owo, Olufemi Awoyele, had been combing the forest, which led to the abductors fleeing, leaving the victims behind at the Oyimbo Sanusi camp in the area. The statement adds that the victims are currently receiving treatment at a police medical facility in Owo and would be handed over to their families after being debriefed. In Kogi State, Governor Usman Ododo is assuring residents that his administration will redouble its investment in agriculture in line with the renewed hope agenda of President Bola Tinubu to boost massive food production for its people. Governor Ododo stated this when he received the National Coordinator of Livestock Productivity and Resilience Support, who paid him a courtesy visit in Lokoja, the Kogi State capital. The governor said the current economic crisis in Nigeria is due to long periods of abandonment of agriculture.
Officials of the Livestock Productivity and Resilience Support arrive Confluence University of Science and Technology, Osara, Kogi State, as part of efforts to set up a livestock service center within the university. This is part of the effort to ensure food security, as the university management promises to ensure the success of the center.
Our vision is to establish a premier livestock service center in Kogi State that leverages strategic location, industrial synergy, academic collaboration, and abundant natural resources.
On our own here, we're going to discipline ourselves because we are the gainer. Our students will gain a lot from what is going to happen here.
After the site inspection, the team returns to the state capital for a meeting with Governor Usman Ododo. Kogi State is the 12th state to indicate interest in hosting the proposed livestock service center.
The agri-mechanization going on in Kogi is second to none. We know how you are going on with your mechanization, touching the real livestock farmer and touching the real farmer by having database and giving input, giving tractors. We have all this information.
The Kogi state government believes the center will contribute to the economic development of the state by creating jobs, enhancing productivity, and fostering sustainable development.
That project you saw is a project that is going to cost us over 7 billion. We want to reduce the risk of traveling 1,000 kilometers before you get to the market. From Kano, you stop over here. From Cross River, you stop over here so that you transact your business seamlessly.
The highlight of the visit is the commissioning of a farm field school for animal husbandry for the Kogi State Polytechnic Itakpe campus and the commissioning of a solar-powered motorized borehole provided by the Zango Cattle Market in Adavi local government area of the state.
Well, that's all from the nation's capital. The news continues from Lagos with Ayo.
Thank you so much, Terry. CFAO Nigeria has launched the all-new 2024 Toyota Land Cruiser Prado, a landmark achievement for car enthusiasts and the automotive industry in Nigeria. The Land Cruiser Prado is one of the best-selling Toyota models, and the unveiling represents Toyota building on its respected heritage and original roots. Here's more from the grand unveiling event in Lagos.
It's an evening of glitz and glamour at the CFAO showroom in Victoria Island as the all-new 2024 Toyota Land Cruiser Prado is set to make its grand debut in Nigeria. Present at the launch are Toyota fans and automotive enthusiasts who are excited to witness the unveiling of the iconic vehicle, one that speaks to Toyota's enduring legacy.
As we unveil this remarkable vehicle, we invite you to explore what back to the roots truly means. This theme not only reflects my personal journey, but also embodies today Toyota's rich heritage, our drive for innovation, and our commitment to delivering exceptional automotive experience.
It's very important for us to always be able to go back to our roots, to be able to define where we are coming from, and what are those things that we hold there, what is our core. And in commemorating that is why the design of the first edition celebrates that. You know, one of the interesting things, what I find most exciting about this model is the fact that it combines elegance, performance, and drivability.
The all-new 2024 Toyota Land Cruiser Prado boasts of several remarkable features, solidifying its reputation for reliability and performance.
The engine is a complete change. The previous one was a 2.7, now it's a 2.4 with a turbo. So this engine is very powerful. It's rugged. When you are inside, you feel like you are in an aeroplane. A lot of electronics, the suspension is dynamic. It feels you. It's got cross system. If you are stuck, it can move on its own.
With over 11.3 million units sold in more than 170 countries, the Land Cruiser Prado is ready to offer an exceptional driving experience to customers and to continue its legacy of excellence, both on and off the road. The launch of the highly anticipated 2024 Land Cruiser Prado also coincides with the first anniversary of Toyota by CFAO.
Willie Bong is up next with business news. Will.
Thank you, Ayotunde. The Central Bank's Monetary Policy Committee, MPC, has commenced its two-day meeting today to decide the next steps concerning the country's interest rates amid escalating inflationary pressures. And according to the latest report from the National Bureau of Statistics for June, headline inflation rate has surged to 34.19%, while food inflation has climbed even higher, reaching 40.87%. Meanwhile, some experts have urged the CBN to halt the interest rate hike, citing overstretched monetary policy instruments. Since January, the CBN MPC has hiked interest rates by 750 basis points in an attempt to rein in inflation. And the management of Dangote refinery has clarified that the quality of diesel being produced by the private refinery remains of high standard and are not inferior to ones imported into the country by its peers. The director and group chief commercial officer of the refinery, Mr. Rabi Umar, made this known today on our Business Morning program in response to alleged reports that it was importing substandard diesel for its production. Mr. Umar also suggests that an investigation may be necessary to find out if there are people within the oil sector who might be sabotaging the company.
Our laboratory is one of the best you can find anywhere in the world. We have all the testing equipments, and we invite anybody to come and visit it. When you talk about the regulator, we have representation from the regulator on our site all the time, which is why we are very surprised to hear some of the comments, especially regarding level of completion of the refinery, given that all our operations are done in tandem with the regulators. We are currently even at 32 ppm as we speak, and by the end of this month we're going to 10 ppm. And 10 ppm, just for context, is the best diesel you can find anywhere in the world. There's a standard called the EN 590, which is a European standard, which is the highest standard of diesel you can find, or what is otherwise known as the ultra low sulfur.
And we head to the domestic stock market, which opened the first trading day of the week positive, building on last week's momentum. Larry Williams has the details.
Hello and welcome to the Stock Market Report. Well, it's the last full trading week of July, and the local bourse seems to have gathered some steam with a positive week opening here, 0.03%, marginal gain to start the week, but we're still maintaining above the 100,000 level for the all-share index. Let's look at the sectoral performance. Today we're seeing with the sectors we track, banking up by 0.45%, but we have marginal loss for consumer goods, 0.01 down for the oil and gas counter. Let's look at the market mover today. We see Zenith Bank there, Tier 1 bank, again about 1.35%. That's a stock, one of the banking stocks worth over 1 trillion naira. And we also got that news that Zenith Bank retained the top spot as Nigeria's #1 bank by Tier 1 capital for 15 years straight. And that's according to the top 1,000 World Bank's rankings published by Banker Magazine of the Financial Times Group. So we see that and some other Tier 1 banks and Tier 2 banks adding to the banking counter game today. Well, it's another day, another naira, but the bulls dominate.
And that's a wrap on business. It's back to Ayotunde for the rest of the news at 10.
Many thanks, Will. U.S. Vice President Kamala Harris has made her first public appearance since being endorsed by President Joe Biden to take his place in the 2024 presidential race on Sunday. In her address at the National Collegiate Athletic Association Championship teams this evening, she praised President Biden, saying she is deeply grateful for his service to the nation. Sami Pusey has more international news and around the world in 5.
Good evening and welcome to the channel's studios here in London with your international news around the world in 5. Many leading Democrats are following Joe Biden's lead by backing Vice President Kamala Harris as the party's new presidential nominee.
I'm endorsing Vice President Kamala Harris because she's ready to step up, bring our party together, go toe-to-toe with Donald Trump, and win in November.
Here, U.S. Senator and Democrat Elizabeth Warren posting on X, while many people's favoured person to run, California Governor Gavin Newsom, described her as tough, fearless and tenacious. It comes after U.S. President Joe Biden's announcement that he has withdrawn as a candidate, which comes with just over 100 days left before Americans go to the polls. Kamala Harris's presidential campaign has raised more than $49.6 million since Joe Biden ended his re-election bid. There are still some key Democrats who have not yet endorsed Ms. Harris, including former President Barack Obama, but many more have, including Hillary Clinton and former Secretary of State John Kerry.
Several of the leading Democrats who actually could have contested this campaign already are starting to come out and say they are not going to seek the nomination. So Kamala Harris will be able to reset this campaign. The polls have actually been moving in favor of Donald Trump over the last few weeks. I think her likely nomination will put Democrats in a strong position.
Meanwhile, reaction continues to come in from around the world, thanking Joe Biden for his contribution in public office in the U.S.
I plan to see President Biden, whom I've known for over 40 years.
Ahead of his visit to the U.S. on Tuesday, Israel's Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu says he will thank Mr. Biden for all he has done for Israel. German Foreign Minister Annalena Baerbock says Mr. Biden's decision shows he's willing to put his country's interests above his own. Ukraine President Volodymyr Zelensky expressed his gratitude for Mr. Biden's unwavering support for Ukraine's fight for freedom. Meanwhile, British Prime Minister Sir Keir Starmer says Joe Biden has made defence and security central to his leadership.
I respect the decision that he has now made. Not an easy decision, but a decision that I know that he will have arrived at, taking into account the best interests of the American people. And I look forward to working with him for the remainder of his presidency.
A court in the UAE has handed 57 Bangladeshis long prison terms for holding protests in the Gulf state against their own country's government. 3 of the unnamed defendants were sentenced to life for inciting riots in several streets across the UAE on Friday, while 53 others were jailed for 10 years and one for 11 years. It cited their court appointment defense lawyer as arguing during Sunday's trial that the gatherings had no criminal intent and that the evidence was insufficient. Protests are effectively illegal in the UAE, where foreigners make up almost 90% of the population. Bangladeshis are the 3rd largest expatriate group. The Israeli military has ordered civilians to temporarily evacuate from part of its designated humanitarian zone in southern Gaza. The military said that there had been significant terrorist activity and rocket fire from eastern neighborhoods of the city of Khan Yunis and told residents to head to the adjacent Al-Mawazi humanitarian area. It comes after prayers were held on the grounds of Nasser Hospital after Israeli tank shelling and airstrikes killed at least 37 Palestinians near Khan Yunis, according to Gaza medics. Russia's Tuapse oil refinery, its biggest on the Black Sea, has been damaged in a major Ukrainian drone attack overnight, which sparked a fire, according to Russian officials, though the extent of the damage is not immediately clear. Debris from the drone, which was shot down, caused a fire at the refinery, which is owned by oil major Rosneft. The fire has since been contained, the regional administration said. Ukraine has been systematically targeting Russian energy infrastructure in an attempt to disrupt Russia's economy and its ability to fund what the Kremlin calls its special military operation in Ukraine. And meet the Stampfli Express, the world's longest rowing boat, which is due to take part in the Paris 2024 Olympic torch relay on Sunday. The 24-seater rowing boat will take 23 rowers and the Olympic torchbearer down a section of the River Marne, just east of Paris. The boat is especially made by Swiss manufacturers Stampfli Racing Boats for big occasions, as it's far too big to row in competitions. And that's your international news around the world in 5. Now back to the channel's studios in Lagos.
Many thanks indeed, Simon. Let's bring you more stories now in the world of sports. With just 4 days to the Paris Olympic Games, the Minister of Sports Development, Senator John Owaneno, is assuring athletes representing the country that the federal government will always celebrate the achievements of the nation's sporting heroes. Speaking in Abuja at the signing ceremony of an MOU for the Dream Team project dedicated to celebrating the success of the Atlanta 96 Olympic gold winning football team, Senator John Owaneno highlights the importance of recognizing Nigeria's greatest glory in world football. Staying with the Olympics amidst ongoing wars in Israel, Gaza, and Ukraine, IOC President Thomas Bach has inaugurated the Paris 2024 Olympic Truce Wall at the Olympic Village earlier today, a symbol of the Games' commitments to inspire peace through sports. Mr. Bach is also calling on the world to give peace a chance and for athletes competing at the Games to be ambassadors of peace. In tennis, Wimbledon champion Carlos Alcaraz has arrived at the Paris Olympic Games Athletes Village in St. Denis earlier today. Alcaraz will compete in the singles and doubles alongside 14-time Roland Garros champion Rafael Nadal. Meanwhile, Olympic silver medalist Margeta Vondrousova has withdrawn from the Paris Games due to a hand injury. She reached the women's final in Tokyo 3 years ago as an unseeded player, losing to Swiss 9th seed Belinda Bencic. And 4-time NBA champion LeBron James will be Team USA's male flag bearer at the opening ceremony of the Paris Olympic Games. The 2-time Olympic gold medalist will be participating in his 4th Olympics. His female counterpart will also carry the flag on the badge, along with boats carrying all other teams down the River Seine in front of 300,000 spectators will be announced on Tuesday. And that's your Sporting Tonight. I am Kelly Egiga. It's back to Ayotunde.
Many thanks, Kelly. And the main news again. The President of the Senate today raised an alarm over the persistent economic sabotage which has undermined investor confidence in the petroleum sector. Well, Senator Godswill Akpabio declared that the Senate must identify and hold those accountable for the criminal acts. That's the news at 10 tonight. Many thanks for watching. I'm Ayotunde Balogun. Do have a good night and please stay safe.